as well.
So we thought we'd just have a little bit of a dialogue about probably some of the things that we are most excited about and that we should probably lean into from what we've learned and on the last couple of days. So maybe if we just go around the room and give our favourite moments and the things that we probably there's so much. There's so many announcements. 80 new announcements were made over the last couple of days. Keeping up is phenomenal. But from my perspective, I'm just going to go right out there and say I'm really excited about the Copilot Analytics feature. I really do love the idea that we can actually track that ROI and be able to demonstrate the value pretty simply. What's cool about that feature, so Copilot Analytics is what it's called. What I love about it is that it's actually looking at the standard KPIs for a normal person in a particular role, say your service desk agents, and then it layers on whether they're a high, medium or low Copilot user, and it'll be able to illustrate to you whether or not those that are a high Copilot user can correlate to better outcomes for their standard KPIs. So I really love the fact that it's looking at the standard role. Can you amplify and improve my standard role as opposed to trying to layer it into something else? Anyway, that's enough from me. I know that I'm probably just giving a very, very limited perspective. Diego, I'll hand over to you.
That's awesome. That's a good job, Christy. Raise the bar high. So for me, a CRM guy, obviously are agents in CRM. So I'll give a couple of examples. One is agents to help you qualify leads. Mind blowing. Yeah. So Copilot now is not only about summarizing records anymore, but what it will do is help you do the research through LinkedIn, Bing, and other sources, and tell you, hey, this is the lead. Then we'll help you prioritize which leads you have to tackle first, and then we'll even help you create a relevant email to that particular lead. It's pretty cool. And in customer service, do similar things, but to create a case or even create a knowledge-based article based on the history of a case that perhaps is a new stuff in your company. So the same concept of agents in Microsoft 365 or anywhere else, now in CRM to actually automate stuff. So that's mind-blowing.
And how crazy is that statistic? The research says 70% of a salesperson's day is not selling.
Yeah.
And remarkable what you can get if you can actually try and channel even just half of that non-selling activity into meaningful sales.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
more
really
customer-facing time. Who's next?
Sure. Wisdom from Tom. Let's hear it from someone who isn't a CRM person.
I'd actually have to say the Azure AI Foundry for me is absolutely a game changer. It opens the door to developing AI models, AI applications, AI agents without having to know too much about it. And you can test it within the Foundry, and then you can deploy it from the Foundry up into the Azure platform and then utilize that agent. It is going to be a game changer. It is. And then, that's just going to add value to everything we do around AI. So I'm excited about that. Really excited.
Well, for me, I think talking to some of the product team this week, especially around Copilot and agents, just intrigued by the possibility that we might be heading for an environment where apps are almost a side thought or a side consideration, and that you have a Copilot of your own that represents your interests and your job, and that interacts with other business agents you have. And so you need a foundation of data, and it needs to be very secure, and it's about getting knowledge from that data and moving data, but it's very much less about having an application and forms through which you can enter data. It's much more a matter of thinking, what is it we actually do? What's a business process that we're doing to create value? What are the ways in which I need to interact or do something within that business process? And then how should data flow back and forth? But the interfaces are much more multimodal, wide open, could be all sorts of things, and might not even involve an app at any point in that business process. So that's kind of mind-blowing for me, that because we've come from business applications background, but we know business process and we know data, which is the strength here. But the way in which we create process or automate processes might be so different with agents and with multimodal. You might still have a form once in a while, but you might be completely different for so much other stuff.
Can I add on what you just said, Jonathan? In what you were saying, they reassured us that the data will be secure. That was one of the big things, especially with what you're doing and talking about, is the data won't be open to the world. Your data will remain secure. And I don't know how many times I've seen that in the sessions where they've had this big sign up there saying the data is yours, it does not go out, which has been the biggest question that I've had asked of me is my data going out into the LLM and will it be made available to everybody?
And I'll just add one final note on that. And in terms of the form thing, in some of our project efforts, often you have a significant amount of work that goes into saying, well, we need to create a first draft of this form for, say, a case or something. And then we need to go through UAT to see, or prototype to see how it works for users. Does this form work for a user? But it's a bit of a paradigm shift to be thinking, actually we might not need a form. This is what the user is trying to do, and what's the best of these tools that we have all across agents and AI Foundry and the data estate and application tools. What's the best way to accomplish that business process?
It's exciting.
For me, with all the agents that are out there, all the capabilities, the sweet spot obviously is Copilot Studio, because we need to be able to build these agents, we need to be able to consume the data from the Azure space. And if I think about last year's Ignite, when they announced Copilot Studio, literally was a year ago, at Ignite they changed the brand. And a lot of us went, PVA with an extra node. It's not anymore. It genuinely is like a brand new product. It has the foundational stuff. The most exciting part is I can build an agent with the planner. It'll basically look at what I'm asking it and figure out what knowledge source to use dynamically and get it right. I'm able to bring an enterprise data, so I can now call an Azure model that you've created in Foundry, call my enterprise data. I can call my data from ServiceNow, from Salesforce. But not only can I do that, I'm able to have a natural language conversation because of multimodality. They did a great demo in one of the sessions where the guy literally said, create 2 invoices for me, one for $750, one for $1,500, and take care of the approval. And the reasoning engine was able to go and create 2 documents, had a rule that said anything over $750 sent for approval, anything under $750 self-approve, pushed the data back into the agent and did that all at a single turn in the background without one thing being typed. It blew my mind away. And I think the multimodality side that we saw in the demos with Dynamics, where you can cut and paste your picture into Dynamics and it reasons over the picture and updates your form. I don't think our world's ever going to be the same. I literally had goosebumps in that.
Ryan Cunningham's demo from Wells Fargo. I already did a short hype track on that. It was crazy. But what we saw there was Wells Fargo, massive institution, power of attorney processing. The process being, if someone requests a payment, say, to be made under power of attorney for one of their people, that's a very manual process right now. To read the whole power of attorney contract, it gets sent away to a team and they have to verify that it's authorised, essentially, that the money's allowed to go, that transfers are legit. That's now being done with the Power Platform agent, I believe it was. But what it meant is that we were able to get almost immediate feedback on whether or not that was authorised. And in the scenario played out in that demo, it was actually not okay, because embedded within the contract was that the power of attorney was only over real estate transactions, not investments. And so something that would be so easily missed by a human if you're scanning quickly, and I'd imagine if that's the 80th approval you're reading that day, you're going to miss a bit of detail. The ability to be able to protect fraud and to ensure that financial transactions are legit. This is just some of the easy ways in which we can now start to combat bad actors and cybersecurity. One last thought though, and I just don't want to leave without this. Really want to call out the game-changing session when it came to accessibility. So I know a few of us were attending that theatre. Jenny is the Chief Accessibility Officer for Microsoft. She is one of the most inspiring humans I've met. She's deaf herself, and I had the privilege of meeting her in New Zealand not so long ago. But in the session today, she taught us that 1.3 billion people around the world have disabilities, and a lot of them we can't see. And, by making our solutions accessible by default, and that's an easy thing to do today. The tools are there. Microsoft has very much designed its tool suite to be accessibility first, if you take the time to be informed. Imagine if one of those 1.3 billion people has the solution to cancer, to, to global warming, to climate change, and we just can't hear them because their perspective has been hidden away in the dungeons of our society. So there is a basic accessibility 101 course in which you can do. It's about 2 hours. I sort of pledged as the leader here of our business to ensure our teams who are designing solutions have that in mind. But I think that's also, it is a softer side of tech, but one not to be ignored. And I'm personally really excited to make sure that we're delivering solutions that don't exclude our vast population that is in some way needing some kind of accessibility solution.
I think it should be just fundamentally part of what we do. I have a question for you all, if you don't mind, because one of the things that I realized as I was going through the sessions and talking to people is I'm inspired. And I keep on seeing use cases at Fusion5 of how we can actually grasp these technologies now and be quick wins and be leaders in this. And I was just wondering your thoughts. Do you have anything that you've gone, we can do that now that we have this technology, or we can empower people? I'll tell you, for me, it's timesheet entries.
Yeah.
If I can have an agent that I say I want to add a timesheet entry and it knows who I am and says, which customer, and I say it's Oricon, and it finds it because it can do natural language search, and says how many hours and when. I just talk to it and it does my timesheet entry. Or I can say, hey, here's a snapshot of the timesheets. I've got an Excel, fill them in. And that'll be a time saver for so many people. And if I can automate that with agents, so every Monday go to this file and grab data, that for me is a big one.
For me, I have a couple of examples. One of them is I created an agent in 5 minutes to give me licensing information based on the Microsoft licensing guide. Yeah, it's really simple. Imagine if I spent 30 minutes, it will be even better, right? That's one of them. And the second one is Microsoft's releasing new AI stuff on the meeting summaries. So for those who have Microsoft 365 Copilot, there'll be a spectacular, even better than we already have, meeting summary, actual meeting notes, kind of a meeting minutes. That'll be a game changer. And then if you add Copilot pages that we can explain another time, low-hanging fruits.
One of the things that I saw that was inspiring was, in terms of what Fusion5 can do internally, well, there's two things. One thing is, talking to some of the Microsoft folk, dog food being a verb. We're dog fooding this. We're dog fooding
Champagning, thank you, sir.
Yep.
We will drink this champagne.
But the other thing is that in multi-agent scenarios, so if we are doing many business processes across Fusion5, we can do it in a multi-agent way. And each team kind of only needs to worry about their own agent, because the agents interact via natural language. That's what they're good at. And so it takes a lot of the work out of integration, where you don't have to do a detailed integration spec for all these business flows of data. Much of it we could say, well, let's say the team that does the system that records all the time and expenses and other stuff, just do the agent on the front of that, connect it in, and the rest of us, just our agents have to interact with that. And some of the integrations that we need to do across the business, we could do in that way. It'd be pretty effective way of doing it. And that way it doesn't matter what things get swapped out, because they're only ever communicating with each other via natural language anyway.
And what I love about that is that's such a great example that we can try, learn, evolve, and take to our customers. Frankly, the things that excite me the most are the things that enable us to do more with what we have for our customer, because that enables us to be more affordable. It enables our customer to be more nimble. And so, there's so many opportunities for wasted time to be shrunk and to be more effective. And I think that's the key thing that I've taken away. Focus on that.
If I can add one more thing to my excitement is going back to the likes of NetSuite, Gemini, all those guys, and saying, hey, your customers use Microsoft. How do we get a Gemini agent in there? How do we get a NetSuite agent in there? And empowering the rest of the business outside of the Microsoft practice as well.
Absolutely.
I think for me in the F&O world, the introduction of the semantic kernel, the push that they've had here at the Ignite around the AI Foundry, it's a game changer. We're going to be able to access data. We're going to be able to really create insights using AI, which is going to be unbelievable. So I'm excited. I can't wait to get into it.
So I think we should probably wrap. We could go for hours. We could really go for hours. I think the number one statement that you've heard many, many times in our little chat game changer. That is probably what I would summarize our 3 days as, is just game changing. Look, it's a lot of expense to bring these folks, these legends, to Chicago. But I can say every cent is worth it. Just if we can take back 5% of this innovation to our customers in our region, we can make a difference. And goodness knows we need to. So, great time, and keep innovating. Microsoft, we need this tech. It's awesome.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.